Hey, John Crestani here. So this video is the third part of the targeting series. Basically, in this section, we just finished going over Oliver Manufacturing, and we'll start talking about how to do targeting, keyword targeting for GrossmanJustice.com. So if you didn't, hopefully, you're watching all three of these. Just to get an idea of how to target keywords in different cases. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in this here, and I'm going to create a new sheet over here, and we'll name this Grossman Justice. GJ. We'll just say brand. And as always, we name our groups: campaign, ad group, keyword, type. Now, so let's see here. So a few things that are a little different about this is one is we are only targeting, in this case, we are only targeting New Jersey, because these lawyers, they want to stay within range of their cases. They want their offices, if they have to consistently go to court, they can only work with people within a certain radius of where their offices are. So one thing you'll want to see is, I'm just going to check to see where they have offices. It looks like they have 4 different offices in New Jersey, so I'm guessing they cover all of New Jersey. So, but really they're only targeting one state. And just to get an idea, population of United States, I want to get a quick read on how big New Jersey is compared to the United States. So let's say there are 300 million people in the US. And there are 9 million people in New Jersey. So about 3% of the population is in New Jersey. So from there, I guess what we'll do is we'll kind of we'll try to figure out, we have to go much broader in our ad groups because we are we're targeting a much smaller region, if that makes sense. So the actual keyword estimations don't that 2,000 to 10,000 doesn't necessarily fit this model because it's a local business. So it's slightly different. That being said, being a local business, it's big money when you're a lawyer. So let's get some ideas for what their keywords are. And if I saw correctly, it's actually, they make it pretty easy. It looks like they've specialized in the car accidents, truck accidents, wrongful death, medical malpractice, workplace injuries, dog bites. So we have some ideas already. Oh, and we have some more motorcycle accidents. We didn't see that up there. So we have car accidents. Let's get some ideas in here. Car accidents. Motorcycle accidents. Truck. Dog bites. Personal injury lawyer. We know that obviously that's a big one. Let's see some of the other ideas. So any type of accident related keyword I think might be good. Construction accident, burn injury. Medical malpractice. So they do a lot of things here. So let's, you know what, some of these things don't exactly cover the traditional personal injury lawyer. So let's go after accidents. Slip and fall accident. Workers' compensation is a big one. I mean, they definitely want these workplace injuries. But let's focus for now. And since we have limited time, let's focus on sort of personal injuries, not workplace accidents as much. So first, let's start off with a personal injury lawyer. But you see, it's fairly easy to figure out what our ad groups we will. You know, I think some of these terms are going to have a lot of. Oopsies. Let's refresh this page. These are ideas for ad groups. Keep in mind. Okay, here we go. Ideas. Then we go to keyword ideas. We want to change this from all locations. And let's actually just select New Jersey. We're going to see a lot lower volume for just New Jersey. Personal injury lawyer. This is going to be kind of our root keyword for this group. And keep in mind, our groups are going to be a lot, in terms of the kind of keywords we're going to add into each group, it's going to be a lot broader because, and also less volume because we're targeting such a small area of the United States, only 3% of the United States. So, you know, it ends up being very small. So keep in mind all these, you know, Houston personal injury lawyer. If people are searching these in New Jersey, we've got to negative those out. So keep in mind our targeting is set to New Jersey. So why would people be searching Chicago personal injury lawyer? That kind of it throws a little wrench in our in what we're trying to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to search top 100 cities by population in US. And I'm actually going to create a big negative sheet right here, just to make sure we don't hit any of these. GJ negs. Cities. Let's do states. Let's negative out states as well. So top 100 cities by population. And what we're going to do is we're going to take all these. Go crazy with this if you want to, but it's really not necessary. You shouldn't make things too complex. So first I'm getting rid of these. I'm going to highlight all, and I'm going to just remove formatting. Where is that? It's somewhere up here. Just make things a little easier. Formatting. And I'm going to copy all these cities. Everything that except I'm going to look for anything that has New Jersey in it. because we don't want to exclude New Jersey cities. Go to Newark. And none of the other top 100 cities are from New Jersey, so that's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy all 100 here. And I'm just going to copy these and just go through and delete some of these guys. Now remember, some people like to go really crazy and they like to get a list of everything in the US. This is not necessary, and it actually makes it more complicated to run a campaign. Some people say, oh, well, if you're getting the top 100 cities, why not get, every single city in the United States? Well, the problem is you don't, even if you try to do fancy stuff with, cross-checking it against all the cities in New Jersey and whatnot, you're adding in too many negatives, and what you'll probably do is you'll probably give yourself no volume, and you'll wonder, why are my ad groups getting no volume? Remember, this doesn't, it's, if you go too crazy in some of these processes, you'll actually cut yourself off at the foot, because you don't know what Google says Santa Ana broad matches for. There might be a city in New Jersey named Santa Bana, and it might somehow match for that. Who knows? So you really want to make sure you don't, keep things relatively under control when you're adding negatives. This is pretty aggressive, though, I'd say. But these sorts of things, obviously, they can help out a lot. And let's get some of this top, so I'm going to delete all these, and then we're going to go back to our keywords here, and I'm just going to list off some of the top states: California, New York, Texas, Florida, Michigan, Illinois, Nevada, Washington, Oregon, Connecticut, what else? Maryland, Rhode Island. What are some, Massachusetts. That should comprise some of the bigger areas. So we have now we have a lot of negatives, which is pretty cool. There are ways you can get rid of this in the settings, the cities and states, but we're gonna go with this for now. So lots of these we've got. Personal injury lawyer fees. Now this is a notice how much wow, $101. So not a lot of search volume, but you see the cost is through the roof. But still, this is part of the game. These guys are trying to get cases that are worth, tens of thousands of dollars in terms of fees. So, that's the game you play. Google makes money no matter what. What we want to find is, let's keep listing through. We're seeing lots of find personal injury lawyer. Well, I guess we're starting on the generic campaign, so we'll just personal injury lawyer. Find personal injury lawyer. So first of all, we're going to throw these in here. Personal injury lawyer Lawston. Personal injury lawyer attorney. Not sure what that means, but since it has some search volume, we'll throw it in there. Personal injury attorney. Personal injury lawyer reviews. It's a good one. One thing we're going to put in is we want that non-buyer. So when you're going after keywords that's expensive, you know, sometimes you don't want people who are possibly just checking around. You really want that, you know, you want to be that first call somebody makes. So if somebody's searching for personal injury lawyer fees, maybe they're not really, you know, they're not really seriously looking, or they're just, you know, they're just doing some small-time research. They don't need a personal injury lawyer right now, because those are the best, you know, from my understanding of lawyers, the best cases are the ones who need somebody right now. So West Palm Beach, injury lawyers. So keep in mind, lots of these keywords get such low volume, we're kind of throwing some, you know, we're throwing personal injury isn't exactly along the lines of what we're talking about, but we're throwing some of these keywords in just because it's because, you know, otherwise this group would be way too targeted, and we wouldn't get any search volume, and we wouldn't ever be able to test any of our ads. That's one of the core reasons why our ad groups are structured this way, is because we want this ad groups to get a lot of volume so we can test out ad copy effectively. Ad copy is, you know, lots of people are going after the same keywords. Ad copy is one of the biggest differentiating points out there, and to be able to test ad copy effectively, you need ad groups that get enough, that are targeted, yet that are targeted enough so that you can write you know, so you can write ads that are very specific to that user, but that are also broad enough so that it actually gets traction and it gets volume. If you're just if you target an ad group just around this one keyword, and let's say you're in 5th space and you get 1% of you know, you get maybe, let's say, 1 or half a percent to 1% of all clicks, you're only going to get about 2 to 4 clicks a month on that ad group. Now let's say you're running 2 to 3 ads, you'll never be able to figure out which ad is getting more conversions than another. Does that make sense? Because each ad would only have about 1 click, and that's not statistically significant data. You need statistically significant data to make decisions in advertising, and that's one of the new things that people just, you know, have a hard time wrapping their heads around. But that's really kind of the new, you know, how things have to be done to compete. Best personal injury lawyers. So we're seeing a lot of adjectives: best, top. Those got to be good ones. Find a personal injury lawyer. So we're adding a lot of these long tail, but at the same time, you know, since this is such a specific market, maybe it'll help. Personal injury lawyer marketing, this is not who we're looking for. non-type. Marketing, advertising, and we're going to throw this into Uber Suggest in a second here. You know what, this might, remember, lots of people are doing research too. There are a lot of lawyers in schools. Let's get this in Uber Suggest. My favorite tool, by the way. I love this. Zilla. Check this out. Salary. Great negative. Blog. So we're going to go in here. Fee. Blog. Salary. School. Career. Resume. Job. Jobs. College. University. Degree. So I just kind of riffed there. Those weren't on Uber Suggest, but I was just kind of making it up as I went. Those seem legitimate. Articles. Remember, you don't need to get every single keyword, but if they show up, it's probably a good one to get. We got lots of these cities. Contingency fee, that's a good one. They're all cities. Frequently asked questions. I don't know what that means. For assault. Personal injury lawyer for assault. That's something I'm going to try out next, is put it in for. So we want these we want NJ in there. So this group is going to be a little bit bigger than the other one, but also we're dealing with pretty low volume here, and we're just trying to max out whatever we can. Can get quotes. I don't know. You know, we'll if we have personal injury lawyer in broad match, some of these will come up, and we'll see how they work out. That's interesting. People are searching by zip code. So I kind of want to see. want to see if these four get any ideas. Personal injury lawyer 4, assault 4. So first we're going to get all these words. We're going to do our concatenate formula. Concatenate a plus, then substitute the last cell, substitute all spaces with space plus, and that formula out. And this goes a little bit over our preferred length here, but we are getting, we are really struggling to get any sort of volume in this group. That's the problem. If you look at this, we have pretty low volume here. It's pretty sad, actually. What I do like is that there is a lot for personal injury lawyer NJ. So we're going to try to go off of that now. See if we can get any more. Personal injury lawyer NJ. I'm going to get rid of some of these guys. New Jersey personal injury lawyer. We'll be able to get a few more here, and we'll just keep going through this process. Remember, each time we put stuff in here, it's going to make it more targeted, and we're going to find more. The main thing is you just, you figure out how you want to structure all your groups. Notice lots of times when you are bidding on the, the terms that are, lots of times one of the quick rules of thumb that you can tell if you're creating a good ad group is if you put your keywords in. Now this isn't always right, but you put your keywords in and the average suggested bid is roughly within the same range. So we're seeing, I mean, it's a wide range obviously because it's, it's between like 50 and 150, but yeah, 150 right here, but that's actually, much closer of a range than most of the other ads we've seen where they, they vary between, $1 and $2 or $5 or, these are all extremely expensive, basically, is what I'm saying. These are some of the most expensive keywords you can actually go for. I think the most expensive keyword you can actually go for is mesothelioma. I think it's over, yeah, it's like 100 and, yeah, see mesothelioma lawyer, $250 per click, $265 per click. So those are some really expensive keywords. So we have one ad group here, and if we're going to go into creating, where did I create my other one? If we're going to go into creating some more ad groups here, we're going to basically want to, I'd probably group a lot of these accident-related terms into one group. So I'm going to modify search. I'm going to paste these in here, and let's see what comes up. So car accident, I know there's car accident, motorcycle accident, bike accident, bike accidents, Um, so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to group a lot of these terms in the same group together. And maybe, you know, based on the search volume for car accident, I might group a lot of them in in a group together. So let's see what this is looking like. So keep in mind, this is a good negative. Car accident report, law, etc. Those are good terms. But basically, if I'm just going quick and dirty, I'm gonna go like this. Let's just do some quick and dirty groups. Copy my formula right here. Car accident, broad, phrase, exact. Car accident is going to be its own group. Let's see if I have any other ideas. Then I might group the rest of these in together. Let's modify the search. I'm going to get rid of car accident. What I'm thinking is, I'm thinking a little bit ahead here, but I'm thinking of, you know, if we're, you know, when we write the ad copy, because this is going to be headline, description, line 1, description, line 2. This is going to be the display URL, and this is going to be the destination URL. So thinking ahead, you know, what we might want to do is we might want to do some dynamic keyword insertion where we actually put the keyword they searched for in here. And for our next group, which we'll name accidents and injuries, we could actually have the headline be something along the lines of had a, you know, had a accident, you know, something like that, and then you may be owed money. So I'm just kind of thinking ahead. And this way it'll say if we have one of these keywords in there, depending on what they search, it'll say had a dog bite, or had a burn injury, had a motorcycle accident, question mark, etc. Had a bike accident, and then it'll be say, we'll say you are owed money. Something like that. So, you know, we could get really specific ad copy even if we have a lot of different things in the same group. That's what I'm thinking of doing here. So what we'll do is we'll just throw a lot of these keywords into the same thing. Now, one thing I'm noticing is that whenever the word lawyer or attorney is in the word, it's going to be a lot more expensive. So maybe we'll have a separate group for stuff with lawyer and attorney in it. We know statistics is a bad, that should be a negative keyword. It's not a buyer. Statistic. Report. You know, we saw that earlier. We want truck accident up here. We did. Fatal motorcycle accident. You know, another thing we'll do is we'll put something like you know, pics, pictures, images, image, etc. Keep in mind, the only reason I'd probably separate out lawyer-related words is because it's going to be so, the bid is going to be so much more expensive. So it's really, all these things are kind of up to you to how you want to do it. You could add it all in the same group, but I just kind of want to separate them out because I'm gonna really, if I was running this campaign, I'd want to really adjust my bids, um, a lot. I'd use bids as a big. So recent car accidents, that might be somebody just doing research. So it might not be, it doesn't sound like somebody who's actually looking for a lawyer. Statistics. So notice we're building up a lot of negatives here too. Articles, dog bite. Dog bite treatment, there's a good one. Accident. So we'll see if we have a lawyer for car accident. Again, this isn't a very big group, so we'd probably want to find more stuff to throw in there. A dog bite in there. So we're really dealing with some low volume here. Keep in mind, let's say we have about 1,000 searches in here. Even if we get, top 3 positioning, which is going to be kind of expensive, we may only get about 50 clicks a month on this. Now that may turn into a few clients, but which would be good. But the problem is we may not get, our bids may be too low to get those 50 clicks. So we may end up with like 10 or 20 clicks when we start off the campaign, and that would definitely not help us. So dog bite infection, there's a good one. So if somebody got a dog bite, they could sue somebody. What we'll do, so what we're going to do here is we're going to copy all these, but we're going to need to put a number of these into, we're going to need to put a number of these into modified broad match. So dog bite, motorcycle accident, truck accident. Dog bite. Dog bites. Motorcycle accident. Truck accident. Let's see if by treatment we'll get that. Motorcycle accident. Nothing for burn injury. Well, I don't know if we did burn injury completely right, so we'll, you know, there may be a lot of long tails here. And so keep in mind, this doesn't follow my, 127, ad group rule, but that's because we're really dying for search volume in this campaign. We don't have a lot of search volume in this campaign, and we want to have enough search volume to make it worth it for the group. To make it worth it so we can test ads in the group. Now for display, we won't do display on this because this doesn't really need display. This display is very untargeted, so we should really just start with these sorts of keywords here. The best keywords are actually going to be, moving forward. Let's create one more group. But the best sort of keywords for, and I tell everybody this, if you're, don't be scared of doing these sorts of this sort of advertising. The best sort of advertising is going to be on their competitors' terms. New Jersey personal injury lawyer. Advertising on each of these guys. And yes, I'm clicking all their ads. It doesn't really matter. Uh-oh. So, Seagull. So we just want to get all these guys in here. Fellows. All these guys look like douchebags. Crunchify. Well, let's see if any guys show up here. So yeah, so these are gonna be the best terms to show up for, and you want to advertise on these. This is really important. Advertise on these terms. I would even see if there's a directory somewhere now. I think we got it with Google. Hoyt and Hoyt. But what you also want to do is you want to not only do research on, the, and here let's, lots of people are doing business all across, when the people first need a lawyer, they're usually in state, but lots of times, they can be all across the country. If these people are doing business, they could be within a couple state area when they're looking for their lawyer's phone number. So, I say why not, if you're targeted enough, why not advertise on you know, on their name, even if you're not exactly where they are. So let's find this guy's name, the Mulaney brothers. What we want to do is we want to get their actual names. Directory of personal injury lawyers in New Jersey. So we want to, as I said, we want to try to find their actual names. Because some people are actually searching for their lawyer's name. So the law office of Mulaney and Mulaney. Tell which sites had no input from their owners. Here's some directories. Let's see, About Us. Usually the About Us page has a attorneys. There we go. Robert Fellows. These are unique names, so maybe we can advertise on them. If we can, and not worry about other people searching for their names. Only 70 searches, 10-cent clicks, might be worth it to advertise on it. Stephen Heimowitz, I doubt there are that many people named Stephen Heimowitz. Either way, let's say you get 5% of searches here, you know, you're only throwing away almost less than $1. So this could be really easy advertising. Instead of paying $100 per click on Personal Injury Lawyer New Jersey, you could be finding some of these terms like this, where somebody's searching for that guy Robert Fellows, and you know, you say, hey, consider a different personal injury lawyer. You know, this was a film producer, but who knows? Some of the people might be actually searching for the actual lawyer. Stephen Heimowitz's case, you know, yeah, it seems the most known Stephen Heimowitz is this guy from the personal injury lawyer. So these are really big terms, and notice, you know, they're really cheap to bid on. You know, these terms are all going to be really cheap to bid on. You can find a lot more lawyers here. You know, just search, you know, for personal injury lawyers here, and just try to find their names. Try to find their, you know, look at all these lawyers' sites. You know, Testa Lawyers, Robinson and Dujar, Brenner Law. You know, these are April and Marinucci. All of these, you know, if you put in all these guys into Google, Google's keyword tool, some of them will have search volume. And, you know, this is just one county. This will stack, and you'll find you'll get a solid amount of search volume advertising on these people's terms. Lots of times, companies are not advertising on their own terms. So if you search for something like Siegel and Capozzi, they sound like gangsters, by the way, but they're not advertising on their own term. Look at that. So these guys, you know, that is where you want to be. That is where you want to be. You will be number one. These guys will be pushed down because your ad will be right up top because nobody's advertising on Siegel Capozzi. That's where the money is, because people who are searching for Siegel Capozzi, we talked about AIDA, what level of, are people just, interested, or are they ready to make a decision? People who are searching for a law firm by name are almost ready to make a decision. They've either made their decision or they're just about to, and they're in that negotiation phase where they're figuring out whether or not it makes sense to, go forward with the law case. That's a person you want to speak to as a lawyer, because that person is, they're seriously considering hiring a lawyer. They've reached out. They've done some of their homework, obviously, before calling or after calling. These are the people that are far along in the process. So that's where you want to be, and this is where you'll make a ton of money, a ton of money. And unfortunately, I don't have the time on this tape to literally go through and add every single guy, for this, actual example. But I think you get the idea, and I hope you have enough with what I've shown you here to go out and start building your own competitors list for whatever company you are doing. So without further ado, I think that kind of sums up the keyword targeting portion of the example phase. Now, I've given 3 examples. I feel like you should have enough knowledge to move forward with the targeting section at least. I haven't gone into Coco Home because that's going to be much the same. Obviously, we know their competitors. It's restoration hardware. It's, specific brands, makes, and models of couches from restoration hardware, from other companies, maybe West and Elm and IKEA possibly, but I think not IKEA because it's higher end furniture stores. And also there are a number of people looking for blue velvet couches, red velvet couches, etc. And we know we're targeting all of the US because they can ship all over the US. So that's really all I have for the targeting section. I kind of press I kind of gave you a little hint into what we'll be doing in the ad section. Obviously, had an accident, had a car accident, etc. You are and I'll go into how how I'm gonna actually do the ads for some of these companies. I'm just gonna move forward with these 3 examples with Giovanni, Betsy, and we have, what's her name, Tracy. So I'm gonna move forward with those three people, and yeah, I hope this has been helpful. Please feel free, watch over this again. There's a lot, I talk really fast, and some of the little things that I assume are really important and are really key and can help, maybe able to help you in your campaigns, which can help take your business to the next level. So feel free to rewatch these videos if they've been helpful. But other than that, I'm going to move forward with ads. Thanks for watching.